Hello everybody, I'm Julia Graham Chapman, also known as the Math Genie. I'm here today to talk about 10 tips to help you with classroom management. If you're in the Math Genie teacher group, hey, you know where the party's at. Glad you're here, say hey, drop replay if you're watching the replay. If you're watching me on YouTube, please click the subscribe button and click the like so that way more people can see the video. If it helps you, then let's help somebody else, okay? So let's start off with tip number 1, and that is a very, very simple one, but I think is legit probably the most important one, and that is be firm first and then fun later. So make sure you come off very firm in the beginning. I don't care if you're teaching first graders, middle schoolers, or high schoolers, but definitely the older the kids are, the more firm you need to be in the beginning. So that way they know that, yeah, you're not their best friend, especially for all you new teachers that are like sweet, young, just fresh out of college or 20 something. It's really easy to try to like build a relationship, which we're going to get into that too. Yeah, of course, you want to build a relationship, but you don't want them to think that you're their friend. You want them to know you are their teacher, right? So go in firm first. You're not about jokes and fun. You can, but maybe at recess or in the morning when they're coming in. But when it's class time and you mean business. So you can always loosen up later. You can always play some of their favorite jams later, but make sure you come in firm first, okay? Tip number 2 is find systems that are easy to manage and that work for you. Now, people are going to probably suggest tons of systems and ideas for you, and that's great. Try them, see what works for you. If you come across one that you're like, this is a great idea and I'm glad it works for her, but it's too much for me to manage, because some people maybe don't have as much time on their hands, or maybe some people are more OCD about things and maybe you're not. So find a system that truly works for you. And when I mean system for organization, for grading papers, for how you want kids to turn in work, for behavior systems, classroom management systems. I'm talking about everything that is in the classroom setting. There were years where I would let my kids go turn in their work in their trays. And when I had classes switching and different assignments being turned in, it got super chaotic. And like kids were turning homework and then it was like warm up, and it was such a mess for me. So the way I decided to do it was kids do not turn in the work until I had somebody pick it up for them. And I had a kid with a sticky note, and they would just put on the sticky note who didn't have it. And it was no big deal. I just wanted to document who didn't have it. I really would like put like, I documented that. And if they didn't have it by the time that we had recess or Fun Friday, they had to sit out. So that was easy way for me to keep all the like assignments together. That system worked for me. It may not work for you. So talk to mentor teachers, talk to your team, see what systems work for you, and keep it and do that. Tip number 3, have a consequence prepared for all situations. What does that mean? Think about what you're going to do. Think about your grade level, okay? Think about how kids act in that grade. So like younger grades, what are you going to do when a kid puts gum in somebody's hair? What are you going to do when a kid skips the line? When you think about older grades, what are you going to do when a kid is going to push another kid and try to fight? What are you going to do when kids says the cuss words? What are you going to do when kids mess up the right on the restroom wall? So start thinking about all the things that you know kids have done in school when you were in school. Think about all the things that you've heard about, situations. Talk to your team. Ask them, what are some discipline actions, or what are some discipline occurrences that have happened on your campus, so you can kind of get familiar for how those kids behave and start thinking of consequences. And me personally, my consequences were not always the same. It wasn't always going to be you sit out of recess or you get a conduct mark, or you're going to go to the office or whatever. I had my consequence match the crime. So if you were writing on the restroom wall, guess what? You're going to go find the custodian, you're going to go find the gloves, you're going to find the cleanser, and you're going to go clean that restroom during your recess time, or during some other time. You have to make that time up. If you're going to say a cuss word in my room, we're not going to do a little cute conduct mark. We're not going to deal with the office because the office doesn't care about a kid having a cuss word. We're going to call your mama, and you're going to say that cuss word to your mom, right? Because if you're so big and bad to say shit, damn, whatever in front of your friends, you better be able to say that same word in front of your mom. So make your consequences match your crime. Start thinking of things that align. And of course, if they don't have a mom, their guardian, whoever they live with, okay? Because I want to make sure I say that, because I know every kid doesn't have their mom or dad and all that situation. All right. So think about those consequences, make a list, and kind of have a running tally, and try to keep that consistent, obviously, so that way you're fair. The number 4 tip for classroom management is building relationships. It is so huge. I really feel like the reason why I was able to manage my kids so well year after year after year, it didn't really happen year 1 because those kids were cray. I was new, but those kids were cray. And but by year 2 and 3 and so forth, so by the end of my teaching in the classroom experience, I already knew my kids. Why? Okay, of course your first year, you're not going to know these kids really because you haven't been on that campus, but by year 3, 4, 5, I had already started getting to know these kids. So by my year 7 of teaching in the classroom, my whole class, I knew exactly who they were because I had already started building those relationships with them when they were in kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I knew their brothers, so I was already talking to them. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited you're in my class. I've been waiting for you to be here for 3 years. Or, oh my gosh, I remember getting hugs from you when you're in kindergarten and 1st grade. To me, it starts early. Start building those relationships with your students before they come into your classroom. So if you are a 3rd grade teacher, start building those relationships with 2nd, 1st, kinder. I was a 6th grade teacher, and I built relationships with kinder, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th as teachers on my school. They know that was something that was super, super important to me because I didn't want to just be a 6th grade teacher. My kids would only come that 1 year and then they left. So I wouldn't see them anymore. So it was really big for me to build relationships early on. And that truly is the reason why I really did not have a lot of discipline problems because those kids knew me. Those kids already loved me, already loved them. And it was heaven. The first week of school to walk in my room and already know my kids' names. I didn't have to memorize them. I didn't have to learn them. I already knew who they were. Maybe like 2 or 3 new kids. So build those relationships early on. Build those relationships when they're in their classroom. I would always pass out a paper that says like, hey, it was like a ready-made sheet that says, hey, your child has informed me that they are in extracurricular activities. How exciting. I would love to come see them in action. Please list below what the activity is and either attach a schedule or drop some dates, times, and locations where I can come see them play. And if it works with my schedule, I will happily see you guys there. So I would make a copy. I would ask everybody who's in, football, who's in soccer, who's in dance, who does band or orchestra, who does anything extracurricular after school that you want me to go to. I mean, it was crazy. I was going to I went to somebody's piano recital. I was invited to somebody's swimming lessons, but I couldn't make it because I couldn't get the schedules to work out. But kids want you there. Pee-wee games, of course, I was able to make those because those are like every weekend. Cheer competitions, dance competitions, all soccer games. I mean, if you could just make that attempt to go to their events, you have already just made it into the parents' eyes. I still to this day, I'm not even in the classroom anymore. My kids are all in high school or college. I guess I do have one more. My last group will go to high school this year. To this day, I still have kids ask me to come to their high school plays, to their varsity games, all those kinds of things because they know I care and I want to be there. And if I can't, I can't. But building those relationships starts with letting them know that you care and you care about them outside of this little classroom. You care about them at home. If you need to make a home visit, you're willing to go tell your principal, hey, I need to make a home visit. So having that time, having circle time, maybe in the mornings, starting your Mondays with, hey, what was something amazing I did this weekend? And then everyone, clapping after that person shares. Little things like that is easy way to build relationships. Another way to build relationships is not trying to have your kids transform to you and what you are and what you like, but start learning what your kids like and what your kids are. So it depends on your demographics, of course, but if your kids love, certain music that's obviously appropriate, then play it with them, learn it. If there's a new fun dance, my kids, I'm so out of touch now that I'm not in the classroom anymore. I'm like, I don't even know how to do the Kiki challenge because I didn't even know this was a thing until I saw, it posted in my Facebook feed. If I was in my 6th grade classroom, I can guarantee y'all, I would have already known the Kiki challenge in my feelings song. I would have been doing it with my kids, So get on their level. Get on their level. Get to know them. Have fun with them whenever you have the time to do it. Whether that's during your lunchtime, maybe once a week, call some kids in and sit with them and have it be like a reward that they get to have lunch bunch with you. Go in the cafeteria, hang out with them. If you have recess, hang out with them at recess. Don't just talk to your colleagues. Really, you're supposed to be monitoring anyway. So get with the kids. I would leave my colleagues a lot of the times to go play soccer or kickball or, do a funny dance with the kids. And of course, morning time or after school is an amazing time to get to know them as well. I'm really passionate about building relationships, if you didn't know. Okay, I'm moving on to the next one. Number 5, find a system or two that are good for positive and like pros and cons, positive and negative behaviors. So if you're gonna have something like, at one time, somebody told me about doing a goody gumdrop chart. And I posted in my room. It had like these little cute goody like gumdrop candies on it. And then if a kid did something great, I taught 6th grade and they still love this, okay? If they were doing something amazing that day, I would say, go put your name on the goody gumdrop chart. And at the end of the day, they got to pick something out of my swag bag. So my swag bag would have things that, 6th graders liked, whether that's coupons or candy or, just little trinkets like lanyards and fun pins and whatever they liked, right? So they love that. But if I'm only going to reward good, then I'm not going to get where I need to get. So I need to have something else for if students are not doing what I need them to do. So, great systems. I know a lot of you already know about like Class Dojo. That's a good one because you can reward and take away. If you want to go in and go on like Amazon or go to a teacher store and find like these fuzzies where you can like give them and take them away. So if the kid's doing something great, you hand out the fuzzies. If they're not doing something great, you take them back. And at the end of the day, if they have such a many amount, they get something, or, you can play with it, but just make sure you have something for good and bad, like rewarding both ways to truly keep it balanced. Okay. Have clear and high expectations. That's super important. I know that we sometimes think that, they're in poverty. They're not going to be able to do this, or, they come to school and they barely have to brush their teeth and comb their hair. Yes, they can. They can do everything exactly like you want them to do. Or maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's like, they have other situations going on. Of course, be nurturing, but have clear and high expectations for your students, because if you set the bar here, they might not get there. But if you set the bar here, look how much further they came from here compared to here, right? So I was known for having high expectations for my kids, and I had no problem with that, but they met my expectations usually or got very, very close, okay? The next tip, number 7, is stay calm and stay in control. So when I was making this list, I am laughing now, but I was not laughing 5 years ago. Or actually it's probably longer than that. But anyway, I had a student who was writing a note in class, and I totally caught her and I was like, oh girl, you're not slick. I see you writing that note over there. Put it away and get on task. I don't know my exact words, but basically I reprimanded her in public. Probably should have done it differently looking at it now, but whatever. So I turn around thinking she's going to do what I asked her to do, right? She was listening to what I said. She's going to put that note up. Not only did she not put that note up, she crumbled the paper and threw it at me. Threw it at my back. If I could tell y'all the words that wanted to come out of my mouth, if I could tell y'all how pissed off I was that this piece of paper hit my back and that this girl threw it, because like I've never seen anything like that. Granted, this child did have some like issues with like bipolar stuff, whatever. So I should have known better. But regardless, I was just so shocked. But in this situation, I think this is my year 2 or 3 of teaching. I can't remember. But I knew I had to stay calm. I knew that I had to make sure my kids knew that I was still in control, even though she just threw paper at me. So I made sure she understood. I said, I know you want me to send you to the office. I know that that's what you would prefer, but no, you're going to have to deal with me instead. So I'm going to let you get up and leave my room. And depending on how long it takes you is going to make your consequences even longer. And I just kind of was like, so get up, let's go. Like, I just was like, let's go, you're dismissed, like, cool, calm. But the real me would be like, oh my God, what did you just do? You threw paper at me, you get it. Like, I just wanted to go off. Like, I wanted to yell and scream. And what does that do? It makes kids realize you don't have control. You're not calm. She won. And then you're going to be like, go to the office. I'm going to go write you up. Like, that doesn't work. So instead, I was calm. I'm surprised how calm I was. I was like, Lord, help me. But I was like, get up. I'm not even letting you go to the office. You're gonna have to deal with me. All right, let's go. And that's all it was. So just think about that in situations, how to stay cool and calm the best you can. I know that I've been guilty of not doing that sometimes, but 90% of the times I try to do it. Okay, number 8. Rewards should not be too long. Like, the wait time for your rewards should not be too long, especially at the beginning. So if you're trying to like reward your kids for like extra recess or get to eat in the room or whatever the case may be, if they have to wait like 3, 4, 5 weeks before they get some type of an incentive, you've lost them. So especially in the beginning of the year, you want your rewards to be maybe every few days, maybe even that day, like, and especially praising them, like, oh, I loved how you remembered my rule about blah, 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 blah. Oh, I love how quickly you all got in line. So I'm going to add an extra 2 minutes to your recess. Okay, so making sure they understand that they're going to get rewarded. Now, everyone has different beliefs on this. Some people don't believe kids should be rewarded for knowing what they're supposed to be doing. I kind of believe that too. But you can always like draw back on that. Like, don't give them 2 extra minutes for lining up because they know that's what they're supposed to do. But maybe in the beginning, these are things that they're having to learn, that this is something that you want. So give them some rewards for that. And then after time, you just say, this is the norm. This is how whatever grade is supposed to act. I'm not giving you 2 extra minutes for that. But giving them a reward weekly, few days, it just kind of depends on what you're zoning in on or honing in on. Whichever, hone. So it kind of depends on what you're trying to pay attention to and what you're focusing on. But, obviously, waiting too long, you're going to lose them. All right. Next, number 9, tip for classroom management. Build a classroom community. So let your kids know that you are a family from the very, very beginning. And I'm not really sure all the best ways to do this, but you have to live it. You have to let your kids know we are a family. I told my kids, if somebody does something wrong to you, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's the custodian. I don't care if it's another teacher. I don't care if it's a student. If you feel like somebody wronged you, tell me. And if you're wrong, I'm going to tell you you're wrong. But if you have something that seems validated, I'm going to go and talk to that person for you. I'm with you. I'm your family. I'm here for you. And then try to get your kids to understand that they're all family as well. And let them know if somebody's talking about somebody in this classroom, they are your family. So you need to let somebody know that that's not okay, and you need to come find a teacher or whatever. It's not tattling, it's looking out for your family. And I give them examples for like siblings. Like, how sometimes you say something to your brother or sister, but if somebody else did it, you'd be like, oh, heck no. That's how things are in this classroom. So kind of from the jump, build that time. Do some fun classroom circles. Get your kids in circles. Ask fun questions. Do like a team building activity. When I was self-contained, I had my kids, they were like forced to play games together at recess. So we would do like, just like once a week, we would do like a team kickball tournament, and we would do like boys against girls or certain tables against certain tables, and it just really helped with that classroom community. You can think of tons of things you can do, and there's tons of stuff on Pinterest, I'm sure, but definitely building a classroom community, sorry, I said that word really fast, community, cuts down on classroom discipline tremendously, and the management in there is 10 times better because it's just a family, it's just a flow, and it's a community, and you're not having to worry about all the extra stuff. Okay, number 10, which is a really, really, really super, super important one, and I'm glad I'm going to end on this one. Practice, practice, practice. Reinforce, reinforce, reinforce. People probably thought I was crazy walking big 6th graders to the cafeteria to practice how to say hello and greet their cafeteria monitors or the cafeteria ladies. How to enter their pen, how to sit at the table, how to line up, where to stop, how we're going to walk, then we go back to the room. How are we going to practice walking to gym? How do we practice walking to the library? I literally had my kids do that the first day of school because I wanted to make sure we practice our routines. I had a note card, on every note card, all of my different expectations and rules, routines, procedures, what to do with kids, what they need to do when my phone rings, what they need to do when somebody walks in my room, what do they do when they get in, come in the morning, how do we do dismissal, How do you turn in stuff? What do you do when you need to sharpen your pencil? What do you do when you need to go to the restroom, right? I mean, I had like about 25 or 30 procedures, and I gave every kid a card, and then they talked about that at their table, and they practiced that. What does that look like? What does that sound like? We would practice that together, and then they would talk about it out loud with the whole class, and then I would just pull a card randomly that whole first week of school. Okay, show me what this looks like. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, show me what this looks like. Show me what this sounds like. We practice and practice and practice. I reinforce, reinforce, reinforce. You can't just do it one day and expect them to get it. When did you get something the first day of whatever? If somebody, I literally just sent an email to my principal about a procedure that I wasn't sure about because I only heard it one time. So I need it to be told again or practiced or reinforced, right? So make sure you practice your classroom procedures, and you reinforce. These are my top 10 tips for classroom management. I hope you found it helpful for you. Share this video if you find it helpful. Make sure you subscribe or like. I love y'all. I will see you next time. Bye.